How to maximize your TSP contributions under the blended retirement system. It's a question we see a lot. We get it. We see it on Reddit. It comes on Instagram DMs a lot. And so today we're going to cover that for you guys.
Welcome to the Military Money Manual Podcast, where every episode is all about achieving financial independence in the military faster than before. We believe personal finance shouldn't be boring or intimidating. Building wealth can be simple, and financial freedom is the ultimate financial goal. Now, here's your hosts, Spencer and Jamie.
This is Jamie, and I'm here with Spencer Reese from the militarymoneymanual.com. Like I said, today we're going to just very clearly walk through the simple calculations for how to maximize your TSP contributions, how to do the math, and what it means to work out that monthly amount percentage-wise that you need to contribute. So, Spencer, just briefly give us an introduction of where the TSP is headed in 2025.
Yeah, so for 2025, Jamie, TSP contribution limit is going to be $23,500. And that's for your Roth TSP or your traditional TSP. That's your contributions to it. If you're under the blended retirement system and you're getting the 5% match, that 5% match goes above the $23,500 limit. So it counts against your annual additional limit or annual additions limit, which is $70,000 for 2025. So you don't really have to worry about going over that annual additions limit unless you're in a combat zone, and we won't get into that today.
Okay, so this $23,500 is for all Roth accounts, right? Whether it's TSP or IRA?
Yep, that's the next question we get, Jamie. People get confused between... it is confusing. And I wish I could get IRS and Congress to change the name of the accounts. But no, a Roth IRA is not a Roth TSP. Well, let's say it again. A Roth IRA is not a Roth TSP. So you have a Roth IRA contribution limit. That's $7,000 for 2025. And you have a Roth TSP contribution limit. That's $23,500 for 2025. So if you're a super saver and you really want to set yourself up for success in retirement, you can save $30,500 towards your retirement in 2025 in Roth accounts. And those accounts will never be taxed again. Not on the dividends, not on the interest, not on the capital gains. You pay your taxes up front, and then you get to withdraw those monies in the accounts after age 59 and a half, completely tax and penalty free. It's one of the best retirement savings systems that we have set up in the United States.
Yeah, and it can even be more than that if you're married filing jointly too. But what about some of the monthly contribution strategies that either you see people do or recommend? How do people think through their monthly planning?
So what I used to do, Jamie, was when I was under the legacy, the high 3 retirement program, I would try to maximize my TSP contributions as fast as I could in the year. So as a pretty senior captain, maybe 8 or 10 years of time in service as a captain, I was able to maximize my TSP contributions by August. So by the 8th month of the year. And then for the rest of the year, I was putting the additional money that was coming into my paycheck that wasn't going to my Roth TSP anymore. I was putting that into my taxable brokerage account, into a high yield savings account, or to whatever my investment goals were at the time. I was saving for financial independence in addition to my Roth thrift savings plan contributions. But the problem is that if you're under the blended retirement system, so if you've joined the military since 2018, you can go check out our recent episode where we reviewed and provided a overview of the blended retirement system, or the BRS. And at a very high level, I'll just hit 3 main points of the BRS, and that's you get a 5% match after 2 years of service into your thrift savings plan. So if you put in 5% of your base pay, the government's going to match that 5%. So you're basically doubling your money if you contribute 5% to the thrift savings plan. You get continuation pay. So that's between 8 to 12 years of service. You're eligible for a bonus for continuation pay. And you can see what the continuation pay schedule is for your branch by just Google it. You can see it changes every year. And then finally, you can receive a pension. So this is a big point that a lot of people miss, but the blended retirement system still has a pension. And we did an episode about that recently as well. It's 2% per year. So for every year of service, you get 2% of your base pay. So if you serve 20 years, you'll receive a 40% pension of your base pay. So let's say that your base pay is $10,000 for easy math. You would receive $4,000 a month for the rest of your life, inflation adjusted, from the United States government as your military pension. And that's after 20 years of service. It's 2% per year of service. So if you do 25 years, you get a 50% pension. So that's a high level blended retirement system. let's talk about the thrift savings plan. So inside the blended retirement system. So you have a 5% TSP match. Now, if you do what I used to do under the legacy high 3 system, and you maximize your TSP contributions and you get them done, you front load them, you get them done as fast as you can in the year, you're going to miss out on a lot of matching because the match is paid monthly. So you need to make sure that you're contributing at least 5% every month of the year in order to receive the match. So there's no longer a huge incentive to maximize your TSP contributions, your Roth TSP contributions, super early in the year. How do you figure out the math? Well, it's pretty easy. Take the contribution limit for the TSP for this year. So we'll use 2025 as an example. So it's $23,500 divided by 12 is about $1,958. So you need to contribute $1,958 every month in order to maximize the TSP by the end of the year and make sure that you're contributing at least 5% of your base pay every month to the end of the year so you get the match in every month of the year. So you're going to take that 1958 that we just calculated, divide it by your base pay. So let's say I'll just make up a number, but let's say you're a 04 with 10 years of service and you get paid $5,000 a month. I know it's a lot more than that, but we'll just say that. Well, 1958 divided by 5,000 is 0.3916. So that's 39.2% essentially. You could round up to the nearest percentage. So that's 40%. So you want to go into my pay and you want to say, I want to make a 40% of my base pay allocation to the Roth TSP. And that will ensure that you maximize your TSP contributions by the end of the year and that when December rolls around, you're contributing at least 5% of your base pay. So you're going to get the full 5% match throughout the year. Okay, that was a lot, Jamie. What questions do you have?
So just one thing to clarify for the listener is if you kind of hit on it, but if you're not blended retirement system and you're under the legacy and not BRS, do these same percentages matter? They can work, or you can do more because you don't have to contribute at least 5% each month. You're not going to miss out on the 5% matching dollars if you contribute earlier to where you're maxing it out in August or September or October, if you're lucky enough to be in a situation to do that. So the same thing can work for legacy retirement. Any other caveats for legacy or anything to clarify?
No, that's one of the questions I see the most is that I have this chart. It's popular on Reddit and Instagram and on my website, militarymoneymanual.com. You can search military TSP match max or TSP max contribution 2025. Any of those phrases, it'll pop up on Google or whatever your search engine of choice is. For the legacy high 3, the chart works for you as well. So, but know that you can contribute more and you'll maximize your contributions earlier in the year, or you'll just have less of a contribution to make in December. So you'll just have a little bit of a Christmas bonus, holiday bonus at the end of the year. The numbers still work for you, but you can even contribute more and it doesn't matter because you're not going to miss out on that 5% match. This is only critical for people who are under the blended retirement system. You have to spread out your contributions throughout the year. You don't want to front load your TSP contributions, get it all done in June, July, August of a calendar year, and then you miss out on that 5% matching for the rest of September, October, November, December for the rest of the calendar year.
Okay, so for the 3 listeners that can max out their TSP in July, keep that in mind. And for everyone else, keep doing what you're doing. Okay, Spencer, what about the year-end planning? So let's say I'm looking at my LES in November and I've contributed $22,000. What do I do in December? Do I need to adjust anything?
No, you shouldn't need to adjust anything. So the way it's supposed to work is there should be a calculation that's done by DFAS where they will restrict the contributions that you make to your TSP to the annual limit. So let's say up to November, like you said, Jamie, you've made $22,000 of contributions in 2025. And now in December, you've only got $1,500 of contributions left to make. The MyPay, the DFAS computer should make the calculation. They should only withdraw an additional $1,500 from your paycheck. And the difference should just come to you on the 1st or 15th of the month of December. If you do over contribute, you'll probably get notification from the TSP and there'll be some mechanism by which you can withdraw your over contribution to the TSP. Again, like you said, Jamie, there's probably 5 people in the world that this affects, where you're putting so much money into your TSP that you over contribute, but it does happen. I have seen it on Reddit. I have seen people have sent me emails before, and there is a process in place. You don't go to TSP jail if you go over the limit. It's okay. Essentially what will happen is you'll withdraw the excess contributions. It'll come back to you in some form, and then the paperwork will catch up eventually when you file your taxes. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's if the system doesn't catch it automatically, which it should, right. And it has been for most data points in calendar year 2024. It's been stopping over contributions. It has in the past. A couple of years ago, there was a big issue with it for 2 years in a row. So if it doesn't catch it, you're not going to go to jail. They'll fix it on the next LES, and by tax season, it'll all be fine.
Just a quick note from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back to the show.
It's no secret Spencer and I are both huge fans of the Thrift Saving Plan, the military's version of the 401k retirement plan. We've both been investing in the TSP for over 14 years and are thrilled to announce we've consolidated all the information you need to know into a new course called the Confident TSP Investing Course.
That's right. The course is a comprehensive guide to navigating the TSP, breaking it down to easy, bite-sized chunks that lay out the basics of the thrift savings plan, the funds available, and the investing strategies so you can build wealth while you serve.
We both know what it's like to be a beginner and to be overwhelmed with all the information that's out there about investing in the TSP. Head over to militarymoneymanual.com/TSP, Tango Sierra Papa, to find our simple breakdown of all you need to know. You get lifetime access, and we'll have a growing library of content. And one of my favorite parts about the course is that for every course we sell, we're going to be donating one to an E4 or below.
Yeah, I love that feature of the course, Jamie. So if you're an officer, an NCO, a senior NCO out there, and you purchase a course, first of all, thank you. And also know that you're helping a fellow service member, a sailor, a soldier, a Marine, an airman, a guardian, a Coast Guardsman, E4 or below, take one step closer to their financial success.
The link's in the show notes, or head over to militarymoneymanual.com/TSP, where you can sign up for the Confident TSP Investing course. Now, back to the show. Spencer, what about the listeners that have special considerations, thinking like pay bumps in the middle of the year, bonuses, maybe the new 2025 expected junior enlisted pay raise that we're expecting to see soon in the NDAA?
Yeah, so this is especially relevant for 2025 because there is the NDAA 2025 at the time of this recording, 10th of December, 2024 has not been passed yet. So stay tuned for the final version. But the language we've seen right now has a 4.5% increase for all ranks. And then enlisted get E4 and below get an additional 10% pay bump in 1 April of 2025, which is great. Finally, I think bringing enlisted pay closer to nowhere close to the value that they provide, but at least more in line with market rates. I saw an interesting case of this, Jamie, where he was in the Marines and he was in 02. He was about to hit 3 years. So he's going to go 02 with 2 years to 3 years. And then within a month, go 03 with 4 years. So it was like this rapid fire, wow. 3 pay grade jumps in a year, essentially. So I ran the numbers because he was like, well, what do I do? What do I set the contribution at? And I mean, you could Nat's ass it and be like, okay, in the first part of the year, you're going to do 34%, and then you're going to drop it to 33%. And then I looked at it, I was like, what if you just did 33% for the entire year and it still works, right? Because
pretty darn close.
The issue is that you just have to make sure it would be a very narrow edge case where, let's say that you left, only 4% contribution of your base pay in December. And I have seen some people do that where they set their contribution so that by the time December rolls around, they're only contributing, maybe a 10% or 6% contribution because they've done the math and they're like, I front loaded it a little bit, but I still left that 5% match in December. I think that's pushing a little far. I would just DFAS and MyPay and TSP, all the systems are just so slow and they're just so painful to deal with, and over contributions happen all the time, and people miss time, when they change their allocation or when they change their contribution. So just set it once in the beginning of the year. If you're listening to this in December or January, February, just log in, figure it out. And that's the other thing too, Jamie, is if you're late to the game and you're listening to this later in the year, you can just do some simple math and you can figure out, okay, how much more do I have to contribute so that I can max this out by the end of the year? And that's just a matter of taking how much have you contributed so far, subtract that from the $23,500, whatever the year that you're listening to, whatever the limit is, and then divide it by the number of months remaining, and then work that into your base pay. You can quickly figure out how much you need to contribute so that you can still maximize your thrift savings plan savings, retirement savings by the end of the year.
I think people, probably some of our listeners, like to nerd out on money and really, really get detailed on that percentage, but just get it close enough. Like, you'll be fine. And what I would even argue, not being BRS, so I don't get any matching dollars, so my situation is a little bit biased. But if you only get a 4% match or a 3%, or like, God forbid, you get no match in December, it's free money you're losing.
Yeah.
But are you still going to be financially independent? Like, if you're maxing out your TSP while you're serving on active duty, you're probably still going to be okay. So
yes,
don't fret about it too much. Like, try to do it, but this is not a project to spend hours on.
No, exactly. That's why I threw this chart up, Jamie, on militarymoneymanual.com and on Reddit. I publish the chart every year. Like, you could just glance at it. And honestly, what I would do is just find your pay grade, find your years of service, grab the percentage, throw it into my pay, boom, done, forget about it.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute thing at the most.
Yes,
just
exactly.
move on. Yeah, go live life and enjoy it.
Exactly. If you get to the end of the year and you contributed $23,497 to your TSP, oh my gosh, you missed out on $3 of your tax advantage retirement space. Let me be the first to tell you that it's going to be okay. It will not break your spreadsheet. It will not break your model. Those $3 are not the reason that you're going to be eating cat food in retirement. Okay? You're going to be okay. So just want you to know that.
Okay, Spencer. So to summarize the conversation today, I think the big call to actions and the big steps for people to take is to look at their current contribution percentage. You have the easy chart, like you mentioned, on the website, on Reddit. Look at their base pay, their years of service, and throw a number into my pay and get a good enough solution out there for the start of the calendar year. Right now, we're recording in December 2024. Perfect time to set up for January of 2025 and beyond. If you're listening later in the year, it's still fine. Set it now. You can still run the math that Spencer talked about earlier in the episode to figure out exactly what percentage of your base pay to set. And if you do have bonuses or anything like that, that's gravy. That's fine. Just remember, if you're under the blended retirement system, to maximize the amount of matching that you get, you want to contribute at least 5% to your pay every month, including in December. So for the few of you that this applies to, be careful about maxing it out too early. Any last resources or closing comments?
No, there's a lot of good information on tsp.gov. You can poke around in there. Reddit, I should have mentioned the subreddit. It's r/military finance. We've got over 50,000 people on there now. That's fantastic to see all the questions that are coming in. And we'll put all the links and everything in the show notes to our previous episodes and to the chart on the website and the chart on Reddit. And yeah, if you got any questions, this stuff does get a little confusing. So feel free, reach out, podcast@militarymoneymanual.com. Jamie and I love answering reader and listener questions. Also on Instagram @militarymoneymanual. You can reach us quickly on there, and either Jamie or myself will respond. If you got value out of the episode, leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate it. We're almost up to 500 reviews across all platforms, and we're almost at 250,000 downloads, Jamie. We're going to have to do something special for that. That's pretty cool. It's been a great year for the podcast and for both of us personally, and really looking forward to 2025 and helping y'all continue on your journey to financial independence.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Military Money Manual podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
The views and opinions presented here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views of the DoD or its components. Reference to any commercial products or services does not constitute DoD endorsement of those products or services.